And who's beating them, Clarence? The Cowboys? Who's beating them? Because the Cowboys certainly aren't doing it. Hey, last time I checked, the Eagles kicked the crap out of the Cowboys. It's way too early for this turn the shields, but I'm fired up now. I am way fired up here on Good Morning NFC East. It might be because the Phillies lost. I don't know. I don't really care about them right now because the Philadelphia Eagles are 8-0. And I am going to get you guys fired up this morning because Clarence Hill Jr., writer for the Dallas Cowboys, woke up and chose violence this morning. I'm not even going to entertain this tweet, but I got to because I'm a morning show host. And let's find it since he seems to want to respond to everybody here.
Oh, I got it right here for you, Jeff.
Yeah, I'm going to say right here because I'm fired up, baby. The Eagle, Clarence Hill Jr., writer for the Fort Worth Star-Telegram of the Dallas Cowboys. Go after him, Eagles fans, because here it is. The Eagles are still undefeated, but they are no juggernaut. They are living on borrowed time. They are not the best team in the NFL. I can agree with that part. They're not the best team in the NFL, despite their record. The NFC is wide open. That's a fact. Argue with your mama. And who's beating them, Clarence? The Cowboys? Who's beating them? Because the Cowboys certainly aren't doing it. Hey, last time I checked, the Eagles kicked the crap out of the Cowboys. And but I forgot. Before I get to you, Tone, this is all I got to say.
No, you're good. Go.
The Eagles beat the Cowboys badly at Lincoln Financial Field. And here's the Cowboys fans' excuse. We have a backup quarterback. The Eagles won a Super Bowl with a backup quarterback. I can't take this anymore. Everything is a hot take in today's society. It drives me insane. Show me the proof. Who is better than the Philadelphia Eagles? Right now. Show me it. I don't care who they beat last night. Go.
Yes, Jeff. I love it. I love it. Clarence chose violence, but you chose destruction. I love it. Look, you guys, look, at the end of the day, man, you're going to have people who clearly are just trying to get a reaction, and they just and they fear what they don't understand. They fear the storm. They fear what's to come. And this tweet, I'm reading it myself, and I smell fear. I smell blood in the water. You know what I mean? Yep. And just how we're going to read his tweet, and this is no way a bash Clarence Hill Jr. session. This is not what this is.
Great writer, by the way.
Great writer. As a matter of fact, he's been a Cowboy writer since 1997. He's been battle tested with going through 7 coaches with only 3 playoff wins and countless scandals, controversies, and unfulfilled expectations. But those are his words, not mine. At the end of the day, every team can get touched. I talk about it all the time. It doesn't matter how good or bad you are. If someone catches you in the right time, you can look bad. We've seen it. Kansas City Chiefs lost to the Indianapolis Colts earlier this season. But is their credibility being questioned? I think not. Let's not forget, this Eagles team did win a Super Bowl in the past 5 years. So they're stamped. Now, like I said to you before, Jeff, I firmly believe there are people who are waiting and waiting and waiting for Jalen Hurts to fall off this proverbial cliff. But here's the thing. What they don't understand is the way he approaches the game, his discipline, he's not going to fall off a cliff. Will he have a bad game here and there or a questionable decision here and there? Sure, everyone does. You're a person that plays a game that requires risk and reward. But at the end of the day, man, the Eagles are 8-0. And I'm not going to allow someone who's dealing with a team that has more questions than answers to provide speculation on my team or to debunk what we're doing right now. So, Jeff, let's hop right into it, man. Let's not spend too much time on the debauchery.
I do have to say this, though. This is the typical Cowboys. Every single year, they beat a crappy Bears team. I'm going to say they're a crappy football team. The NFC North sucks. By the way, the Eagles get to play them later this year. And they score 49 points off them. They beat up a bad team, as they should, and now all of a sudden they're talking. Wait till the Eagles face Dak. The Eagles might be 15-0 by the time they face Dak. And it might not matter. I'm not saying that they're gonna be, but because
you're listen. It might not matter, right? And, look, like I said, at the end of the day, the Eagles are 8-0. And this is something you have to respect. You are what your record says you are. And I don't think they're living on borrowed time because they've shown a propensity to win in multiple different ways. They've shown an ability to score pretty much at will. Exactly. Every time they needed a surge or a point or a game-changing moment, they delivered on it. And I think that's what makes this team so fascinating. They answer the call, they answer the bell no matter what happens. And look, they were on a short week, Thursday Night Football. No team in this NFL has played their best football on Thursday Night Football. That's abundantly obvious. That's kind of like the unspoken or the unwritten, I guess, mantra, right? No, it's Thursday Night Football. Everyone hates Thursday Night Football. These guys had to travel 1,500 miles from Philly to Houston. No real practice, no real preparation. And they still got it done on a short week against a team that's playing pretty freely. They have nothing to lose at this point. How can you hate what you're seeing? How can you deny what you're seeing unless you're just upset about what you're seeing?
It's ironic, too, because I thought they played really well for being on a short week. I did.
Yeah. They almost put up 30, really.
I mean, they went right down the field and scored. I mean, them and Houston were trading back and forth scoring-wise early in the game. It was a really quick football game because both teams run the ball so efficiently. And you were saying earlier, Tone, you weren't too crazy about the game plan to start the game because Houston is really bad at running the football. But they kind of settled into that a bit. I think Jalen Hurts was a little antsy is the right word to start the game, obviously, back in Houston, family, friends, etc. Like, who can you not, right? The guy is human. As much as he kind of stays away from it, he is human. But look, still, 21-27, 243, 2 touchdowns, no picks, 128.9 rating. He's the first Eagles quarterback with 125-plus passer rating in consecutive games since Nick Foles in 2013. Before Nick Foles, it was Randall Cunningham in 1988. And through all the storm, the Eagles still did not trail in the second half. They have not trailed in the second half in any game this year. It just felt like they dominated once they got back in the locker room and were like, okay, let's get things settled here. Let's get back to normal. We had a fumble. Okay, and look, even the fumble, Tone, that was a weird play because I thought Jason Kelce snapped the ball early, and you could tell, like, Hurts was like, oh, okay, like, I got the ball, and it screwed up, like, Jordan Malad, screwed up the whole offensive line, and, Hurts, it was sack fumble Hurts. I'm like, okay, whatever, you're bound to do that, and again, I thought the defense, too, they were shaky to start, not like they were terrible, they were just allowing long drives, but they settled in, and I have to look at the possession numbers here. So Houston scored a touchdown on the first drive, just went 9 plays, 75 yards. They also had a 7-play, 75-yard drive. The second half, it was – see, I got that up here. It was like 115 total yards, essentially, and 3 points. So, I mean, kudos to the Eagles for whatever halftime adjustments they made. And, look, you can bash them all you want. There's a reason why they're 8-0.
That's true. And, I think the biggest takeaway from this game, and like the live chat is saying, right? A win is a win. And, this was Houston's best play all year. They must have circled this on their calendars, right? But I think for me, like you said, I did have a problem with the game plan. I felt like we essentially didn't stack the box enough. We knew what they wanted to do. We knew they wanted to throw the ball. We knew they wanted to run the ball. And we just didn't. It just seemed like we relied too much on our front four to stop that. And I don't have a problem with that if Jordan Davis is there. And that's the biggest takeaway for me. That Jordan Davis, his presence was sorely missed. And if I'm being completely real with myself, even beyond this game, I think we're going to have some problems going forward in terms of responding to the run game because we have some legit running backs coming up on this schedule here. And I think it's going to be important for the Eagles to really, really tighten up the tackling. Like, tackling is an issue. Like, we're about 9 weeks. We're 9 weeks in. Tackling is an issue. Next week we do play the Commanders, so, that's not going to be as bad, but they're playing better. But then you got to think about Jonathan Taylor coming up for the Colts, Aaron Jones, Derrick Henry, that stretch of game, Saquon Barkley, that four-game stretch is going to be tough from a run defense perspective. And I'm really curious to see how Jonathan Gannon responds over the course of these several weeks.
What if I told you the Texans have better offensive line than the Indianapolis Colts? Would you believe me?
No, I wouldn't, because
they do.
Because I believe the Colts have Quentin Nelson, right? They have that.
Yeah, but it's a bad unit. It's a really bad unit. Like, they are not cohesive at all. They don't know who's going to be their left tackle week in, week out. 1 week it's Bernard Ryman, 1 week it's Matt Pryor. They have Quentin Nelson. Braden Smith should be better. Ryan Kelly should be better. They're not. I don't know what the issue is in Indianapolis, but I don't want to get too deep in Indianapolis here. But this is where I think the first fix needs to be made. Now, Jordan Davis isn't going to be back for at least the next 3 games. So the Eagles elevated Marvin Wilson from the practice squad and had him play like the Jordan Davis role. It did not work. Marvin, he got just beat up on the line last night. And I'm like, look, I know they don't want to do this, but Javon Hargrave played that role in Pittsburgh. Use him in that role. And then you can use Marlon I can't pronounce his name. Tuipulotu. It's 7 in the morning. And you're going to play him more. You're going to play Milton Williams more. But they want Javon Hargrave to go after the passer, which is fine. I mean, 5 sacks in 5 days. I cannot want to do that. But that's the role they should move Hargrave to. The Jordan Davis role, as in play more nose, play more above the center. Because that's what Jordan Davis was doing. He was having great success. They tried Marvin Wilson out last night. It just failed miserably. It blew up in their faces.
Yeah, and Marvin Wilson, he was in a practice squad, hasn't really gotten too many reps, so it's hard to really put too much of the blame on him. Really, he's in a practice squad for a reason. You know what I mean? And it's hard to replace a guy that's like 6'6", 330 pounds that can move like a deer. It's hard to replace that kind of guy, right?
I've seen him enough this year. He's up.
Yeah. I met him in person at the Max Bowl Awards, and Jordan Davis, he is as advertised. But another thing I want to touch on about this game is, man, the price is going to continue to go up for Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, man. The price is going up.
Leader in picks.
Say it again. You kind of broke out there.
He's the league leader in interceptions, Stone.
Now he is 5 interceptions through. He's had an interception in 4 consecutive games.
Here's your fun stat. Team picks. Saints 2. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson 5.
Wow.
This secondary, I'll tell you what, you got to give them some credit. Like, they didn't even have what I thought was their best night, and they still had a really good night. They had 2 turnovers. The pass rush was getting home, and the secondary definitely took advantage of the second half. I definitely did not have this on the bingo card last night. I tweeted it. Philip Dorsett beating James Bradbury on a one-on-one route. On a go route. I did not see that coming last night. Again, and I think that's a product of the short week. The Eagles were just caught a little flat-footed at times, but they adjusted. They did not panic. Yeah, they trailed early, but it just felt like the game was never in doubt. Like, the more talented team was going to win that football game. I just think people like Clarence Hill are just overanalyzing a Thursday night football game against a bad team.
Yeah, I've never seen someone go so in depth on a Thursday
night game. If the Cowboys lost to the Texans, I would laugh, just like the Giants did. But I'm not going to be like, oh, okay, they suck. No, or they're not that good. No, because every team has an off week. I mean, the Giants had an off week last week, and they played a good football team. It is what it is. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, the Giants are frauds just because they lost to a good football team in Seattle. But they're still 6-2. I'm not going to say the Cowboys are frauds because they lost to. Oh, that's right, they lost to Philadelphia. So I don't know. It just seems like the Cowboys have the biggest excuse in the world right now for why they're 6-2, even though they won every single game with Cooper Rush. And then he was exposed against the Rams, and the Eagles took advantage of it. I don't know. I always say this, Tone. I always say in life, people make excuses when they're not succeeding. They always say how hard they work, No. You know what? The people that work hard actually don't need to tell you that.
Absolutely, man. And, you know, think about where the Cowboys are. Think about what they've been. They have been disappointing habitually, perpetually, regularly. And it's hard to accept that and deal with that, especially when you're in that market and you see the talent that's going through those buildings. It's hard to accept why and how they've been so dysfunctional. And it is what it is. Like I said, man, this game, I don't put too much stock into any Thursday night football performance. I just don't. You know what I'm saying? The players hate it. I hate it. It's a random day in the week. The NFL obviously loves it because it's a cash cow. But I just don't put too much stock into a Thursday night performance. The only thing I put stock into was the fact that Dameon Pierce was bullying a lot of those guys. And a lot of those guys, they got out the way. Let's be honest. A lot of those guys got out of the way.
Like everybody goes, oh, Dameon Pierce, he does this every week. I mean, the Texans,
exactly.
But he's good. Jerry Hughes is a good player. Like, I can see why the Texans did not want to trade Jerry Hughes. I know why they did not want to trade Brandon Cooks outside the contract. By the way, I gotta touch on this for a second, since the Eagles did play the Texans. I know Brandon Cooks feels like he was betrayed, but dude, you signed a contract.
Yeah, that's what I don't understand.
You get paid $18 million guaranteed next year. Like, I love Brandon Cooks, nice guy. I get it, but man, read the room. You want to have your cake and eat it too, and no one was going to trade essentially what the Texans wanted was a first-round pick for Brandon Cooks. No one was going to do that. Not for that salary. The only team that really kind of entertained that was Dallas. And I get it. I get why they wanted to do it, but I think the best move Jerry made was not making one.
Agreed. You know, it's funny. Brandon Cooks, like you said, he signed the contract. It's hard for me to feel bad for a guy that you signed the deal recently, as a matter of fact. And I don't know what you were told. I don't know what lies you're coming up for. I can't speak to that. All I know is you signed the contract, my man. You chose to be there. You decided to take the bag. And you have to live with that. You have to live with that. But, look, at the end of the day, the Philadelphia Eagles are 8-0. They were able to hold on and beat the Texans 29-17. And I'm just really curious to hear rather, what Mark Farzetta has to say about this. Mark Farzetta, he's the host of the JAKIB Sports pregame show with Derek Gunn. And those guys do an amazing job. And he's also the host of his own show, The Farzy Show, that you guys can catch Monday through Friday at 6 a.m. streaming at you live for a solid hour, breaking down the Eagles, breaking down the Phillies, breaking down the Sixers, all things Philly sports. Mark Farzetta has you covered, and he gives you the most passionate takes out there in the game with the most astute analysis. I hope you heard that, Mark. Now, Jeff, any final thoughts before we hit this break, my man?
I was going to add on to this and say, if you're a smart man, if you're a really smart man, you get up at 5:30, you eat your breakfast, brush your teeth, tune into the Farzy Show at 6. Come here to Good Morning NFC East at 7, and you stay at the Birds 365 at 8. Man, we're shameless self-promoters here, Tone. We just do not care.
Shameless. Listen, you got to take care of your people. You guys are locked in on Good Morning NFC East. He's Jeff Kerr. I'm your guy, Tone DeShields II. Keep it locked, you guys. Mark Farzetta is coming up next right after this.